Welcome to the Neon Bear Trap PALcast. I've got with me today the lovely Edward and the ever so ravishing Ethan.
Hello!
Hey.
How are we doing, guys?
We're doing great, man.
Yeah, really good.
That's good.
Fresh, ready to pal it up.
Yeah, I'm with my pals and I'm doing the PALcast. Everything's looking fancy.
Yeah. Nice new fancy mics.
Fancy
as well.
mics, yeah. We've picked up some Shure SM58s. And I'm quite pleased with how they're going so
You
far.
might notice we don't sound like we're speaking out of a dumpster this
Yeah.
time around, which
We're
is
not.
nice.
We're just dumpsters speaking now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're just trash
Absolutely.
people, but sound like trash.
We're just like high fidelity trash, 1080p, 4K, 144 hertz
Oh,
trash.
jeez, I don't know about 4K, man. Give us a second to catch up.
I'm still a wreck of a human being, so calm down.
We're high quality Rex though.
Yeah.
We're doing a bit of a different format to the PALcast. We're going to be breaking it up, making it a bit shorter. Our previous and first renditions of it were too long, to say the least, and we're just going to be shortening it up.
Try and get a bit more to the point, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. And I guess to get to the point, I'm going to kick it off with some esports news. We've had quite an interesting week when it comes to Blizzard games specifically. We've had the Hearthstone World Championship coming to the close for 2017. That was featured in Amsterdam. We've had the HGC, which is the Heroes Global Championship, start up this week, or last weekend was week 1. And we've also entered into week 2 of the Overwatch League. So getting into Heroes of the Storm, we've got the North American standings for the week. Just to read them out, we've got Team 12, 1-0, Team Freedom 1-0, and also Tempo Storm 1-0. We've got Simplicity going 1-1, Space Station Gaming and Gale Force also going 1-1. And Heroes Hearth Esports going 0-1, and finally, and unfortunately, looking for more, going 0 wins, 2 losses so far.
Rough.
Keeping in mind that Looking for More were the team that came up from relegation, so they're effectively the amateur team playing with the big boys.
That's true.
So it's expected for them to take a few weeks to acclimatise.
One would say they're looking for more wins, perhaps?
That
Oh!
I think someone's probably trash talked that on Twitter and said that already.
Nope, my joke. First one.
Everyone else owes us royalties now.
Exactly.
So-
And similar with Heroes Hearth Esports, they're a team of ex-pros and high-level amateurs, but they've just come into the HGC. So take a few weeks to come back.
And a completely different gaming psychology from that, I'd imagine, as well.
Definitely. A lot of people say when looking at interviews from like even college football going to like NFL, that the game speed is increased. I'm paraphrasing Jay Howe, a caster who said this, and that's definitely, I think, prevalent. It's just the rotations are crisper, people don't miss skill shots as much, and I think that would be definitely playing on them. But I have a lot of faith. These guys have been grinding for a year and a half to get to this position, and I don't think they're going to squander it. Other things that have been unexpected in NA have been Gale Force Esports being 6th. We had Michael Udall come out of retirement to play with them again, and I expect them to move within top 4 by week 4. They played well despite having some first week cobwebs and rust, and end up reverse sweeping Simplicity. Simplicity has some big names like Zuna and King Caffeine and K1 Pro. Both of those two, the latter, have been world champions at some point. So it's a team to be reckoned with, but they need to just figure themselves out. It's teething issues.
Get a bit of synergy going.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Figured out the dynamic of the rosters.
Yeah, just because you have like one superstar striker on a football team doesn't mean your team's going to win.
Exactly.
Only if a team of Michael Jordans. I know sports.
Yeah. Only
I
a
mean,
team
we've
of
seen
Michael
Space
Jordan's
Jam.
can
He's-
spot that.
Michael Jordan fucking carried in Space Jam. Let's be real. Those Looney Tunes would have lost hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bugs had some.
Yeah, but it was the spirit of the Jordans,
Yeah,
and them
okay.
being so
Yeah.
Well, it's
fly.
that old sports adage, like a champion team beats a team of champions.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yes.
Looking at the top of the rosters, the top of the standings, though, it's unsurprising to see Team 12 hold together. They're all very, very technically strong players. However, there's been some contention on whether they'll be able to stick as true to their form now that Glaurung has left and has actually gone back to one of his original organizations that he played with, Tempo Storm.
Tempo's got Glorong back.
Yeah, he went back to them. It makes sense that Team 12 held together despite this losing of Glaurung to Tempo Storm, and I think the doubts of them aren't completely justified. They've picked up Cure and Dansky, I think both on Team Freedom last season, and Roll20, who is now Team 12, and Team Freedom with Kieran Dansky were the two most talked about teams in North America. So I think they'll come together and be a formidable force. But flat out, Tempo Storm looks just scary. It may not have been exhibited so much in this first week of play. However, with the new roster comprising of Fan, Sam, Glaron, Cattle, and June, it's just going to be heinous, the shit they're going to do. It's going to take a few weeks, and it always does, but when that roster hits synergy, they're going to just be destructive. I have no doubt. They're the most bloodthirsty team in North America.
Excellent.
Moving on to EU, though. It was a pretty standard week, all things considered. I think the biggest surprise for me was Zealots. They ended up going 0 wins, 2 losses this week. Dignitas recently picked up their main player, Poyik. And they've picked up ADRD, and it's just not the same at the moment. They were at the point where they nearly went BlizzCon last year, and now they're 0-2. So this team needs to really put down some hard work if they want to stay in the HGC, I think. Method, who's a formerly team expert, who, funnily enough, one of the players on the Aztec Entertainment stream team, Arcana, plays for Method. They've gone quite well. He's been playing very well. They played against Diamond Skin, who has the other Australian player, Robodoba, playing on them. So it was like kind of the clash of ANZ. And fortunately, Method came out ahead. You may remember Method. They're a very prominent WoW guild, and they do a lot of the server first. They're a very big WoW guild. And they've branched out into a Heroes of the Storm esports team, which is very exciting.
Quick question.
Yes.
Where could I catch Arcana if I wanted to?
If you're wanting to see Arcana, his Twitter is twitter.com/ArcanaHots, and his Twitch page is twitch.com/Arcana_. I recommend checking out his stuff. We'll be putting some links in the video for sure. I really recommend watching him play. He can teach you a lot about the game, and that's just not even me as the manager of that saying that. I think he's just a very enjoyable player to watch. Looking at the standings, it'd be interesting to see how Fnatic and Dignitas go. They were very strong rosters, and they moved around big pieces of those teams. So just seeing how well they stick together as teams, I do expect to see them at the top of the roster, but I can't say who's the 1 and 2 at that at the moment. Speaking of Dignitas and Fnatic, Method is versing both of them these weekends, and they're my games to watch for EU for sure. Moving on to Korea finally for Heroes of the Storm news. The major point of interest from the week just past is KSV Black, formerly MVP Black, which were the 2018 BlizzCon World Champions, lost 3-0 this week.
What?
In the first game of the series. It was to Tempest, who is a former world champion, but always sat around that 3 spot, never really had the power level to take out MVP Black. Doesn't seem to be the case. They've put in the hard work in the off-season, and they're coming out strong.
Wow, what a day. That's,
It's been really... there was always a definitive 1 and 2 with Korea, and maybe a 3 who could take a game off the 2. At the moment, between Tempest, Ballistics, and KSV Black, I honestly can't say who's the strongest at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see where those standings fall out. So we've got Ballistics at the top on 2-0, Tempest and Blossom at 1-0, and KSV Black at 1-1. Just to talk about Blossom a bit, it's kind of interesting. I was saying about the team that was in relegation that came up for NA. That's who Blossom was last year. So they've just been slugged by the Titans of Hearts for a year and just got crushed in 3-0s. And they're sitting third in the
learning
standings.
game is
They're
strong.
learning.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
learning really hard. And I kind of feel bad I felt bad for G-Luck because I think they versed Ballistics as well this week. So it's their first professional game ever, and they're versing world champions. So they just got punched into the dust a bit. But I'm hoping that they can find themselves in a place like Blossom next year.
Yeah, cool.
Other games I recommend to watch this week in North America, we've got Tempo Storm vs Team 12, which is a very, very important game for the early game of this season.
Should be a
And
ripper.
it will definitely be a ripper because it will determine who is the strongest in NA at the moment. And that's enough for Heroes of the Storm. But we're going to move on to Overwatch now. I'm just going to do a brief update on the actual standings of the Overwatch League. We've entered week 2, and as of just before recording this cast, London Spitfire took out their 5th consecutive victory in the Overwatch League. So they are presently at 5-0. Under them, you've got Seoul Dynasty at 4-0, and similarly with the New York Excelsior. And
I
then
gotta say, I love some of these team names. New York Excelsior is probably one of my favorites.
it's so Excelsior.
But I
York
want
Excelsior.
to find out who called the Korean team the Dynasty. Just to have brief words. Like you do know, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
This is all a big joke. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
In the next big chunk, all these teams are even at 2 wins, 2 losses. We've got Houston Outlaws, Los Angeles Valiant, Los Angeles Gladiators, the Philadelphia Fusion, and the San Francisco Shock. Under them, you've got the Boston Uprising, Florida Mayhem, Dallas Fuel, and the Shanghai Dragons. Both Dallas Fuel and Shanghai Dragons are on 0-4 so far.
Ooh.
So they really need to pick up their game when it comes to just getting some W's on the board. I haven't watched enough to make any critical analysis, but what I have done when I've been watching it is just seeing how it feels from a spectator perspective, because the Overwatch League is new, it's very anticipated, and it being a good spectator esport is integral for its survival. If you're not getting viewership, you're not getting sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, I really enjoyed it. You've got the live audience there. They've built the new Overwatch Arena in Irvine, California, near the Blizzard HQ. And that's been sold out for every single game, with people wearing jerseys and signs. And just having the live cheer when someone gets a good play, it adds to that sort of excitement factor. And it's what I've loved about esports.
Yes.
Also, in the spectating side of things, you've got each team has got their custom team skins that you can now buy. So the London Spitfire has all orange and blue skins for all the heroes and stuff like that. So you can
cool.
easily identify and cheer for your team. And in addition to that, they've added like an aura or like a hue to all the colors. So the London Spitfire might have like a blue aura around them. So in a team fight, you can definitively see it's a blue Zenyatta ult or a blue this or a blue that. So you know. Previously, team fights in other Overwatch competitive games were just a massive like abilities, and you couldn't actually tell what was going on. And it's like, oh, that team won in the end.
Yeah, I have seen a few, I have seen the blues and orange hues before, but have they made them more pronounced?
More pronounced and in
Okay.
line with the team's natural
like
colors
the-
of their skins and
right,
whatnot. So
okay,
it's like,
cool.
I'm cheering for yellow, and then when at the arena, when the Outlaws win, the arena lights up with green and all this sort of stuff, and LEDs through and
Cool,
stuff like
okay.
that.
And are these skins available to the public?
They are available
So you
to
can
the public.
absolutely rep your team as a
You
fan
can-
as well, which
if
is great.
you can
That's sick.
I think also part of the money goes directly to the organizations or the teams themselves, not going through
Ah,
Blizzard.
beautiful.
So it's a way that you
nice.
can crowdsource money for your favorite teams. Or, oh my god, I love Prophecy, I think his name is. His Genji play was in Unreal today for the for the London Spitfire, and he cut 2 Junkrat tires out of the air in just disabled them. Just went just shut down their Junkrat. And if I saw that as a Genji player, I would snap by that London Spitfire Genji skin after that, and it's fucking sick. So what you can do is you go into the Blizzard, the Overwatch screen, and then there's like an Overwatch League tab. You can go browse all the skins, and they are quite expensive. I think it costs you close to $1,000 to buy all the skins.
Oh boy,
but
howdy.
you do get one for free from Blizzard. You've got enough currency on joining the game to buy one of the skins straight away.
But of course, this is the internet, so what's going to end up happening is I'm Prophecy with a 1 instead of an I.
Yeah.
I've been here the whole time.
Exactly.
Best Genji in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that being said, if there's any game companies listening to this is how you do it. This is how you release DLC. This is what we pay for. So
Yeah, exactly.
thumbs up to Blizzard. That's brilliant gaming business practice.
Before we leave on presentation, I think the visual presentation of the entire tournament is very slick as well, right? They do a good job at making like seamless transitions into replays. All of your heads up stuff is clear to see it for everybody. It's
Nice.
Even as a casual player, it's fairly clear what's going on and what's happening and who's got the advantage in certain situations.
Yeah,
Yep.
very true.
You've also got personal cameras on every one of the players' screens, so when it brings up at the start, it's got all live feeds to their faces. So if they get a sick play, you can see them get a picture.
How
and
smug they look.
Exactly. There was even a clip, I'll try and add it in for intensive purposes. Someone got a sick high noon, and then the player cuts to him in real life, and he spins a fake gun around and goes, and it's just little cheesy flair
That's
that.
that's amazing, but that dude's the fucking worst.
Yeah, exactly. That's my actual thought. It's Houston Outlaws. Try and find the clip.
I can't find it here.
Oh, man. Of course it's a fucking outlaw who's doing the fucking McCree.
Exactly. But
Shooter
yeah.
Gavin.
Let's get one thing straight. This is Shooter's tour. I've worked hard my whole life, paid my dues, and now it's Shooter's turn.
Overall, I'm looking forward to see how Overwatch League develops, and are we having a bit more comprehensive coverage of how the meta develops and whatnot from there. Final bit of news for Overwatch. I guess it's kind of implicative of the fact that Overwatch League has started. Lunatic High, which was a South Korean Overwatch professional team, often regarded as the best in the world. For OGN, they absolutely just destroyed and cleaned the floor up with them. Their Overwatch team has disbanded as of, was it this week, Ethan?
Yeah, I think it was this Monday or Tuesday just gone.
It's been official. There's been talks of it happening for a couple months, but it's been official. Lunatic High has released their Overwatch players. It's going to help them find a new home. Honestly, Lunatic High is being really classy about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're like, we just can't pursue this anymore. OGN also didn't get the open division for it, as they presumed. It went to a different company, so that made things really difficult as well. With like, they've got Hot 6, which is the Red Bull of Korea. They've got those sponsorships, so it's interesting for them, and thusly, Lunatic High can't justify the finances that it would cost to keep this roster afloat.
And that's fair enough, yeah.
Which is fair enough. So they're doing the really mature thing of saying, we're going to release them from their contracts, we're ending our involvement with Overwatch at this point, and they're going to try and find their players new homes, which I've got to tip my hat to. Like, shout outs to Lunatic High. They played that situation very, very classily.
Moment of silence for Lunatic High.
Yeah.
Salute you guys.
Honestly.
Bravo for all your work in the esports community, and well done to all your successes.
And I'd like to take this point to say, go to your local shelter and adopt a gamer.
Adopt a gamer.
Find them a new home.
All we need, we don't need much. We just need high-speed internet and some form of gaming console.
And you know, just like one box of cup ramen a week. Like, not like one cupful. That's pretty fucked. Like,
your
just
$1 can buy a crate of cup ramen for a gamer. We'll feed them for a month.
I guess that's all I really have for Overwatch news at the moment. But moving on to Hearthstone. Like I mentioned, we had the Hearthstone World Circuit wrapping up for 2017. Ironically, it wrapped up in 2018. But that's neither here nor there. That's just semantics. It took place in Amsterdam, as I mentioned earlier. And it was actually a pretty funny moment where they were interviewing a player, and one of his teammates was underage. So it's like, oh, so-and-so is underage. How have you been dealing with going out in Amsterdam? And the translator replies with, oh, we haven't been able to visit the casinos and stuff. And it's like, haha, yeah, nice. But
yes, the casino.
yes, I am not going to lie to you. I'm not the most well-versed in the ins and outs of Hearthstone. I love it as a game. I'm grown after this Hearthstone World Cup that I think it's a fascinating game to watch. More just the psychology of the players and how a single turn can just make or break someone. I was particularly watching Frozen's run through the quarterfinals up until the grand finals of it.
A real Karate Kid story, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Frozen played some fantastic games, but the most entertaining would be his quarterfinal match versus the EU player Sintalol. As the only player in the finals to bring a mage deck, Frozen built this in answer to a lot of previously unanswered questions in the meta. For example, there's a thing called Corridor Creeper, which is like a 7-cost mana card, and every minion that dies on the board while it's in your hand reduces its mana cost by 1. So you can just like get cleared and have like a 7/7 for 1 mana and stuff like that. It's a very meta-defining card. Okay. And he just doesn't play one. Some decks play 2 of them. He doesn't play 1 of them in his mage deck, which I found super fascinating. We found ourselves in Game 4 of his quarterfinals set, and we see Frozen's mage come up against Sintalol's priest. Frozen has always had the plan to control big minions. It's a big spell deck, so you've got your meteors, your flame strikes, your dragon breaths. And he basically wants to use this to sustain into the late game and survive with his Frostlich Jaina. However, Sintalol kind of threw a spanner in his works when he copied not only one of his meteors, but his Frostlich Jaina. So we found ourselves in a very interesting situation where both of the players had Frostlich Jaina up, and they were kind of just juggling for position on who would have the elementals up and whatnot. It came to a really fascinating end, and I don't want to spoil it, but I really do recommend checking out that entire set. It's an absolute emotional roller coaster, and they put it just a fantastic show on. But we found ourselves then after that at the grand finals, where it was Tom 60229 of China versus Frank Zan or Frozen from the North America.
So no spoilers.
No spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers.
But in the quarterfinal, who knows what happened?
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard. Like, fair call. But it's seriously, even if you know what happens in the end, it's worth watching.
It's a great watch.
And even Frozen Semi, he does that sort of bullshit, risky RNG, pulls out the perfect draws.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
It's a hell of a spectator watch. For a card game, wow.
Yeah, definitely. I never thought I would enjoy Hearthstone so much. However, we found ourselves in the finals. Frozen versus Tom 60229. Frozen had taken a 2-0 lead, and it was on to Tom to reverse sweep him with his Jade Druid deck. However, at the start of the third game, something went amiss in production, and they let off the confetti guns. Just a little too early.
Blew the load a little bit too soon.
They preed a little too hard.
Frozen's last remaining deck.
Anyways, it was quite funny.
Yeah.
How you just see they're trying to be all focused and poker face and game face, and Frozen kind of just cracks a bit of a smile. Now, people aren't explicitly saying that made him lose the tournament. However, he was 2-0 and he got reverse sweeped after that point. Did it break his focus enough that he may have made some errors? You can never know, but goddamn, it was so fucking funny. In the end,
and at least even in that professional setting, even with all that stress, he can still have a bit of a giggle about it. Like
Exactly.
That's admirable of him as a player in and of itself. Good
Yep.
on you, Frozen.
But that wraps up the fucking news.
Alrighty, moving on to our release and development news. We have got a cracker of a week coming up for releases, boys. We've got a couple of games that I know I'm very excited for. And I believe you guys are the same.
Or just a bit.
Let's just address the elephant in the room. This Friday, tomorrow, at the time of recording, 3 days ago at the time of release of this podcast, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ. We are very excited.
I'm excited.
Made by fighting game gods Arc System Works, or Arxis,
Yes.
responsible for the ever-present competitive fighting game powerhouses Guilty Gear and BlazBlue.
Oh, they did like the BlazBlue ones.
Both of them, yes.
Wow, they've always been very polished games.
Which means they're super at home in making a 2D fighter here. It's all of the original content and the nostalgia you get from the Budokai and the Budokai Tenkaichi games, but with that like real schmick polish. All of your systems are in order.
Sorry, not simplistic, but more simplified style of a fighter rather than
in a way.
Rather than the Budokai ones though, where it was like a completely 3D fighting.
I think that was the Xenoverse you're thinking of.
Oh, it might be, yes. Sorry.
It was.
Yes.
I think Ed's paraphrasing the ones that were on like PlayStation 1, those really OG, sick ones, where it's like your Biff and your Energy Beam, and it's fucking rad.
Cool.
Like,
but they've taken that concept and just like applied systems to it, and they've made it a nice polished game that's going to be fun for both casual players and your more competitive fighting game. People are going to pick this up.
Awesome.
There's already talk about it entering the esports sphere alongside the Street Fighters and the MVCs and Guilty Gears and BlazBlues, which is very exciting. They're in talk with a bunch of orgs about setting those up, which is awesome. It's going to be fairly simple though. It's only a 4-button fighter, so you get heavy, medium, light, and special. So it's not going to confuse, I guess, new players or new fighting game enthusiasts or participants. So it's a nice entry point, if you will, into getting into that genre, I think, which is great. Because a lot of people will want to get into that genre because the source material is so, like, heartwarming and endearing to everybody.
Just on that, I feel it also, while it is simplistic in the direct inputs you've got to do to play the abilities, however, you've got this Marvel vs. Capcom-esque, it's 3 fighters each side. It's not just 1-on-1 or 2v2 like a Tekken Tag. It's 3 and you can juggle them out. So knowing all three of them, your transitions and stuff like that, to be able to juggle. Like, the atypical Marvel vs. Capcom, where you'd have, like, a juggernaut just destroy them and blah, blah, that sort of style of knocking 2 or 3 people out with a sick combo if you're good enough at it.
Alright, I like that.
It also, sorry to interrupt, covers on the Dragon Ball Super storyline, which...
we'll get to roster very, very soon, my friend. On what you're saying, it's to compensate for having to manage 3 characters at the same time and having to know their moves. Very simple execution on this one. So we've gotten rid of things like 360 motions. There's no Dragon Punch motions, like your Z motions.
Oh, thank God.
No pretzel motions. It's all quarter and half turns.
Cool.
Which is excellent. The way someone put it is, if you can throw out a fireball in Street Fighter, you can do just about any special in this game.
Oh, Hadouken! Hadouken me, daddy.
And I think what they've nailed in this game, from what I've seen hands off thus far, is that the feeling of Dragon Ball and the art of Dragon Ball and the feeling of fights, right? It's fast paced chaos. Like, divided by standoffs.
Yeah.
Lots of no.
Like they capture that Dragon Ball feeling of like punching a guy across the screen and then teleporting behind him and then like shooting him off and like following up with a fireball.
Awesome. Yes. I just got so much more excited.
It looks great. I think it's the closest that any game has come so far into capturing what was the original art style.
Oh wow!
In that 2D like high cell shading kind of art style.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's got a stacked roster. I think a roster that's going to make a lot of people happy. They cover a large portion of the bases. So you've got your Z Fighters, your Goku, your Vegeta, your Gohan, like Tien, Piccolo, your mains.
Yeah.
One thing I have heard on that actually is there is a big Chaozu-sized hole in that roster though.
The thing about building a fighting game roster is you need to assign gimmicks.
Yeah.
And Chaozu's gimmick is that he blows himself up.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's hard to...
That's one that I saw a little bit of a story about. Some fans are disappointed by Chaozu not being in the game, and I was like, I don't care as long as I can be Goku or Gohan, I'm fine.
Yeah, if you don't mind me saying this, there's even a special mention and featuring Captain Ginyu in it.
Yes, just about to get onto that. We've got our 4 main villains.
Yeah.
Frieza, Cell, Boo, and whoever else.
Beerus, maybe.
Beerus, he's in there. And Ginyu, whose gimmick is really interesting in that he summons basically the other members of the Ginyu force as a stand. They come in and assist with their techniques.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So that's Ginyu's like play style. He's bringing in the Ginyu force members. Yeah. He's bringing in the other members.
Really tricky to get. Funny game.
And you've also got Nappa, who's got a really interesting gimmick where and possibly Ghost Snapper if he doesn't do well. His gimmick is that he plants Cybermen who grow and can fight.
Excellent.
During a fight.
Excellent.
Plus, you've got all of your new guys, which are going to make people that are catching up on the series. You've got your Dragon Ball Super friends. You've got Black Goku, Hits in the roster.
Excellent.
Beerus is in the roster.
Yeah.
And 8 DLC characters coming up as well.
Whoa.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Which is interesting, because I speculate, due to the lack of movie characters in this, that we can go one of 2 ways. We can either go all of the Dragon Ball Super characters that happen as that show progresses. Maybe, your Jirins and...
Yeah, I think Whis will be a part of it
I think
well.
Whis or Weiss.
Yeah.
Whis, I guess, will be definitely in there.
Fun.
But I have a feeling that we could see maybe a Broly, or a Bardock, or a Cooler.
I'd like to play as Boo.
Boo's in there. Got both Kid Boo and Innocent Boo.
Oh, excellent.
I could also see it going down. There's a character I've recently seen called Kale. She's one of the Saiyans of Universe 6 in the anime. And she is, I think, the Broly of their universe. And she looks a lot like Broly when she's in Super Saiyan 2. So Kale or Cauliflower or Kefla, their merged form may be that. But yeah, I could see something like that happening for sure.
Unfortunately, though, we've got we've been having some online issues in beta, which is a big concern for a lot of people. So they've just recently, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, had basically an emergency beta.
Yeah.
We need to fix this now before this gets released. So hopefully that'll be all patched up and fixed.
At least they're doing an emergency beta though, rather than going, We'll release it.
First patch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that sweet bad boy comes out on the 26th of January.
Australia Day, actually.
Australia Day.
Australia Day.
Guess who's working on
So,
Australia Day?
Guess who's getting drunk on Australia
So
Day?
instead, I'll be unfortunately getting drunk and punching on instead of playing it, but we'll get there.
Oh, I think it actually technically comes out on the 27th in Australia. So I'm going to be playing that game for the first time, incredibly hungover.
Yeah, everyone will have such a great time.
Yeah.
Also set for worldwide release on Australia Day is Monster Hunter World.
On PlayStation 4 and Xbox.
Yes, unfortunately,
Yes.
the
PC
PC
comes
version's
out
being
later.
delayed, but for very good reasons. Because if there's one thing that's peeved me in the period of time I spent playing games exclusively on PC, shit optimization.
Yep.
So they've come out and said, sorry guys, I hope you get it. We're going to release it when it's optimized well.
People will obviously have their rage moments and stuff, but I think a general populace would agree that
That's a much better idea.
much better idea.
Yeah.
Much better idea.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's something that Japanese developers in particular understand as well.
Yeah.
Because the same thing happens with all of Square Enix's stuff.
Yeah.
They withhold it on the PC until it's ready to go.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's on a console because gameplay footage is gorgeous.
So it's not at all coming out on any handheld?
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of, no.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
A lot of the hype I've seen has been for the console versions. You may get a handheld version down the track, I'd say.
probably
I'd
down
say,
the track or something.
I'd say a Switch port is in the works.
Oh, if it came out on Switch, I would lose my mind.
But no, it looks like really pretty. When not all the way polished textures, but in terms of the way they've colored it, the aesthetic of it, you really can get lost in these environments, I think.
I've always loved the Monster Hunter games.
And also, I think the sentiment that it's... I always felt Monster Hunter games were single-player games with multiplayer features. I've always wanted a Monster Hunter multiplayer game.
Which hopefully this will be, exactly.
Yeah,
I was actually just
Yeah.
about to say that. I've loved Monster Hunter games. Last I've played those Monster Hunter 4 Origins, and I stopped playing that literally halfway through the single-player quest because I wanted to hunt with friends and no one was as interested in the game as I was.
Well,
So
on
I
that
was just-
point,
yeah.
you can roll around in a party, so you can enter worlds in a party of up to 4.
Nice.
And run around in your world in
I
your
like
party
that
of
already.
4. Or, alternatively, if you are playing solo and you encounter a monster that you've got a bounty on and you're like, oh my god, I am out of my depth, I am going to die, you can say, help me, universe of Monster Hunter World, and get an assist on the spot.
Nice. So it's kind of
A la
like the,
Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
falling
like
in-
the Dark.
falling in
Yeah.
maze.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but then I'll
I'm
hopefully be
eagerly
wanting to get
optimistic
that
about
as well.
this.
Yeah, I'll probably be looking at that as a Xbox. So if anyone's on Xbox playing some Monster Hunter World,
Be my friend.
please, I might need help.
Heck yes, let's do that.
Let's-
Is my Xbox at your place still?
No, I'd imagine it would be here.
Oh.
Because that's where Rory had it, isn't it?
We'll look into it.
And now you all know where it is too.
Yeah.
So
Do you know where I
again,
live?
Okie dokie. It feels like they know that they're going to get a big new audience to this game as well.
Yeah, cool.
It being released on the console for the first time. Because from early gameplay footage, they've released like an hour of gameplay. It seems like it's going to be a lot nicer to new players before doing the classic Monster Hunter thing of you're on your own, figure it out.
Yeah.
Ah, cool. So it's
So
like,
there's a small tutorial
so it's
kind
like-
of element.
guys, learn how to gather. Guys,
Yeah.
learn how to put your weapon away. Guys, learn how to potion up.
They've got a few other user-friendly things like a trail of flies will lead you to like poop or footprints, and just find that early steps of tracking bigger monsters a little bit easier.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. See, look, again, that'll be great for new players. I could foresee, because already I'm thinking, nah, let me just jump into it. I know how to hunt monsters. But
to a mass audience.
to a mass audience, that's a very intelligent
because
move.
it's honestly been a big part of what's turned me off from Monster Hunter games was this burden of knowledge that seems to be dropped on you all at once. You get through like 2 of the first hunts, it's like, cool, I killed 2 baby monsters. Now you need to know all these different things and where to get them. And
Oh, yeah. There's still so much I have no idea what it means in Monster Hunter.
They've got a big PlayStation 4 crossover kind of happening.
Oh yeah,
Your Palico, your little cat companion,
yeah.
you
love
guys will
my
be excited
Palicos.
by this. You
Yeah.
can skin your cat as like a 16-bit Mega Man that runs around with you.
That's actually
I do
really
like
cool.
that. Yeah, because in Origins, you could have a Mario and Luigi outfit for your Palicos.
Oh, because of like
Yeah.
Amiibos.
And a new gameplay element, which I am way excited for, is there's something that they give you called a slinger, which is essentially a grappling hook of sorts, which you can use to grab things, swing around,
mount monsters,
in very like Shadow of the Colossus style, grabbing onto their hair and getting whipped around.
I do like that a lot.
Kind of deal. Or alternatively, you can use it to pull the environment down on top of them.
No, they've gathered a more destructible environment.
I think they
absolutely.
Have actually,
Yes, so you can use your slinger to pull down walls, pull down like stalactites, hanging rocks, or whatever. The monsters interact with the world differently, so they're knocking stuff down. They interact.
I'm not a physical person. I want to go for a run. This is so.
They're interacting with other monsters in situations that you can take advantage of.
That's
so if it's
cool.
fighting with something, you jump in and do it on the sly. I've seen footage of your player running into a cave. And you're like the monster Jurassic Park style, like sticking its head down the cave and like making the hole bigger as it charges towards you and stuff.
That's very cool.
It looks
I am
excellent.
keen.
Yeah, so very excited. Monster Hunter World, also out January 26th.
All right. Australia Day. No sleep till February. We're gaming!
So, yes, 2 games coming out this week. We're very excited.
Holy shit.
And I think it's safe to say that you'll see some content of those games on this channel very soon after as well.
Oh,
100%.
yes,
Yep,
baby.
yep.
Because I'll be playing them. Might as well record them.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's exactly it.
Absolutely.
Looking a bit further ahead into the future, some news that's going to make, I think, everyone equally excited. In being interviewed about Dynasty Warriors 9, which has a big open world now, which is cool.
Oh.
Koei Tecmo, the company that makes it, says that it's sort of one of their dreams to make a Star Wars Dynasty Warriors game.
Oh my fucking god.
No.
Yes.
Is this...
It says right here in my notes. They want to make a Star Wars Dynasty Warriors game.
Yes.
Hell yeah. And if you could choose between like which character you are, could you imagine being like Savage Operas or something like that, just tooling around in a massive Star Wars open world, hacking and slashing like a madman?
And that whole game is just the whole universe of Star Wars is based on pretty much one guy tearing through hordes of like baddies, be they stormtroopers or droids anyway, right?
It really taps into the Jedi Academy Old Republic style of Star Wars games that we used to get in the early mid 2000s, where you're just a Jedi and it's focused around lightsaber combat, not just the jack-offery that is the light and the Sith.
Anything anyone wants to do in the Star Wars universe is have a saber and just go like bananas on stuff, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And have that saber react like realistically, arguably, with the world. So if you slash through a wall, the wall gets cut.
Absolutely. BioWare's next game, Anthem, which is sort of an off-world third-person shooter, which I imagine has the classic BioWare dialogue trees and whatnot.
Yep.
Seems from a distance, having not looked too much into it, as a more like spiritual successor to Mass Effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rather than a forced effort.
Yeah, and an answer to Destiny from what...
Yeah,
because it was heavily marketed shortly around Destiny 2's announcement.
Well, good news if you're excited about that. Delayed till the start of 2019.
It looks fucking cool, but I'm pleasantly excited, but realistically pessimistic. I'm gonna just hold out and have a look at it.
Well, unfortunately, BioWare has gone through a massive personnel shift following the absolute disastrous flop that Mass Effect Andromeda was.
Yep.
So a lot of their higher-ups have been moved on or have resigned. And there's a lot of shifting around going on in their corporate space.
I think the person who's working as the story lead for Anthem was the story lead and writer of Mass Effect 1. So if anything, that makes me hopeful, because Mass Effect 1 was a beautiful fucking game, and having him at the helm of that creative team will only surely show good things, I hope.
Absolutely. But, however, it is bad news if you happen to be a fan of the Dragon Age franchise, because a lot of BioWare's resources are being put into Anthem, and it taking longer means it's going to be a longer time before they prioritize anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
Same if you are a fan of SWTOR, Star Wars.
Yep.
The Old Republic.
Well, I mean...
Their MMO.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit sad. It's a little bit sad. good news for Australian folk.
Yes.
State of Decay 2 has just received an R18 plus rating.
Yay!
You may remember, if you followed it a couple of years ago for the first State of Decay game, it got held up a fair amount of time in its Australian release, in that it couldn't get an ESRB rating for a long time.
Yep. Because Australia, for some reason, couldn't figure out that adults want to play video games too.
So I loved the first game, so if we get this one on time, I'm going to be stoked.
Yay! Yes. Awesome.
I think it's a great resource management, realistic zombie apocalypse simulator.
I think we had a large influx of them 3 or 4 years ago, a la DayZ and H1Z1, and it's kind of just gone, take a step back. I want to see what State of Decay can do a few years later after that with new technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the first one, kicked off the whole, camp style of zombie game. The whole, this is my group of people that I live with and I look after them, and the best bit was you could send people out to do jobs, but then you'd see them in the world, right, doing their job, and they'd be coming back and they'd run into a horde and they'd be like, help me please. Like, alright. So yeah, very exciting. State of Decay 2. Look out for that one. I'm going to defer to Ethan a little bit on the next one because there's some Assassin's Creed DLC coming up as well.
Yeah, that's for Origins, isn't it?
Yes. Somehow makes the massive world even bigger.
What? Look, I've got enough of Egypt to explore. I don't need any more. Just give me more shit to do in it.
I've only heard amazing things about Origins personally.
Honestly, it's good. People, you hear critics saying, sorry to kind of jump on that for a little bit, but critics have been saying, oh, it's just a retelling of the first story. A, no, it isn't. And B,
even if
so what? They've done it well. They've fixed the Desmond story arc, and it makes sense that he's died. And spoiler alert, way too late. But they're interesting games again.
Of course it's the same story. The point of the story is that it's destiny that we're going to keep doing this.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
There's always going to be a one guy. There's always going to be a piece of Eden. There's always going to be Templars.
Yes. There's only wishy-washy reasons for finding those pieces of Eden, which were the last 6 games. And this one, it just gets right back into the story. I can't wait for the next Assassin's Creed after this.
Really?
Yep.
That's good. Back on the train.
And not only that, I assassinated people as a modern chick. Ah!
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really cool. I fell off my chair kind of because it was really exciting. Assassin's Creed Origins, good fun. So I'll look into that DLC and let you know what I think.
Beautiful.
When's that coming out?
In the coming week, I believe. They released it accidentally a week early. And then immediately removed it. Well, I mean, it's a good question. How do you accidentally set off a missile warning in Hawaii?
Just to drop in my 2 bits of the dev release. One thing I'm really excited for. It's got an announcement and I think a date, but I didn't look into it enough. Mario Tennis on the fucking Switch.
Yeah, I saw that.
I really like that game.
Gonna be
I really like that game as a kid, and it just looks perfect. And I just want to see
it looks like a really good remake.
Yeah, Mario 8 graphics on Mario Tennis, more spin, more characters, racket customization. I never liked Top Spin or those true sim sporting games.
This is arcadey enough to be mad
Exactly.
I've still got the Mario Tennis on my 3DS.
Yeah, I forgot they even did that, to be honest.
Did you guys see AO, the Australian-made tennis game?
No.
Absolute disaster.
I would imagine.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we are not good at making games.
Oh, we've made one good game.
We're not good at publishing games, at least.
Yeah, we've made LA Noire, and that's about it. That's actually it. Anyways.
Nintendo, we keep making the same games, you keep buying them.
Yeah, Nintendo's like, how about this new idea? And everyone's like, no, more Mario. And they're like, okay, well, here's more Mario. And they're like, no, more original ideas. So
Make him do curling.
Nintendo's going, fuck it. You want original ideas and more Mario? We'll give you that. Here's Mario Galaxy.
Oh,
true.
Good point.
Yeah.
Speaking of original ideas, what do you guys think of the Labo or the Lambo? Nintendo Lambo.
I was actually gonna get into that.
Are you gonna get into that?
Yeah,
but Nintendo Labo, whatever it is, will kill all the trees.
Yes.
100%. But
what will kill the trees is not Nintendo Labo, but all of the bootleg Labo products that will be released following.
Yeah.
There's already ones being made. Someone made a fucking grasshopper model using the Nintendo Switch controllers as their legs, and it's like, cool. What does that do? Just sit there?
No,
yes.
Don't you move the
You can move the legs, but it's like, so? It's a grasshopper statue. Like, what are you going to do with that in a game?
Fuck, am I the only one here who's really excited about the lava?
No, I'm keen for it. It looks exciting, but like those bootleg ones. Like a grasshopper. Once again.
I see.
What?
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So,
as not a huge fan of Periphery, that has just blipped over my radar a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'll get into that, like, a general community... Well, I might as well. General community overview seems to be, hey, this is a wicked idea. I'm a bit too old for it, but
if I was a kid, I would fucking love
100%.
that shit, man.
If I was 10, 12 years old, and this just came out, and I had a Switch, I'd be like, Mum, Dad, if you don't buy me a Nintendo Labo and, like, 60 cardboard cutouts of this shit, I'm running for the hills. Goodbye. Forever.
I'm saying you touched me.
Save up my insulin, because I ain't going to see you a while.
I'll say that'll just about wrap us up for releasing dev news.
Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, to kind of wrap up the PALcast this week, we're going to touch on some community news and stuff like that. So, just before we kind of touched on the Nintendo Labo, once again, the general community feeling for that is, hey, this is a really cool idea, brilliant, like, such a cool idea, but I'm a little bit old for this, or I won't have the time or the money or the 60 stacks of cardboard or whatever you need to make these projects or anything like that. So, brilliant idea, don't get me wrong. Just a little bit past our time for us older gamers out there. Unfortunately, yeah.
Buy it for your kids.
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
Like,
Play it with your kids, absolutely.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. I think that's gonna. Well, I think it was said that the Switch was one of the highest selling consoles of all time in America recently. So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And
it's brilliant.
Like my cousin, or our cousin Anchor, he got one. Like it's a perfect console for a kid. Like, and I think they've realized that and they're going to go down that route. So good on you, Nintendo. Not all gamers are 18 plus or under, and you're paying to the demographics. And I respect that.
Bravo, Nintendo.
Just those that don't have jobs.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So carrying on with a bit of community news, some of you might know originally he was a YouTuber and now he's a Twitch streamer, Dr. Disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a little while ago, I think it was about a month now.
Thereabouts, yes.
Dr. Disrespect came out. I can't remember his, it's like Brian and a very difficult to pronounce last name.
Just Dr. Disrespect for all intents and
Exactly.
Brian Disrespect, I believe.
Yeah, Brian, he goes by Dr. Brian Disrespect, yes. But essentially he came out...
Troll foolery.
Yeah, exactly. He came out in a video very not in character, saying he's taking an indefinite hiatus from streaming because it came out that he was unfaithful to his wife. Quick sidebar. Why you'd want to go for someone who streams as someone called Dr. Disrespect, I don't know. But hey, cool, whatever.
I think it's moving into the point where these people have so much notoriety and fame around them. Like, he was the feature streamer at like 5 different cons this year, was getting massive endorsements.
Oh, absolutely. And
it's the rockstar factor.
Absolutely. And you mentioned he'd been YouTubing for like, what, 5, 10
at least,
years?
10 years as this character,
before becoming... Yeah, so this is a long-time character.
But I mean, as an alternative to like Professor Decent, why would you go for Dr. Disrespect?
Hey man, trolling is key on the internet.
Exactly.
Anyway, point being, Dr. Disrespect, about a month ago, came out and said in a very uncharacter-driven, it was very much, look, here's the deal, I've been unfaithful to my wife, I'm taking an indefinite hiatus from streaming, so long for now, friends. He's come out with a video a few days ago, I think on the 22nd of January, saying it was very much in character as well, and it looked like he had his wife with him. Didn't see her face or anything like that, but it was a very in-character video essentially saying, I messed up, but I'll be back. On the 5th of February, Dr. Disrespect is back streaming on Twitch. So happy news for PUBG fans and any fans of Dr. Disrespect.
Even streamers just need time to work their stuff out every now and again.
Right? Absolutely.
Can I just paraphrase here a little bit? There's been a large, not mass exodus, but a lot of streamers who've been there from the start, they're kind of reaching breaking point. Like, just the one that comes to me is Man vs. Game. He's one of the OG fucking streamers. A great guy. I really recommend watching his stream. But about 2-3 months ago, he's like, I'm taking time off streaming because I'm not feeling that great in this world at the moment. Or that's not verbatim, but he just needed a mental health break, and I got to respect that.
Fair enough.
But yeah, go on.
No, actually, speaking of streamers having breakdowns and stuff like that, a Dallas Fuel player in the Overwatch League, Felix XQC Lenyel, has found himself in hot water once again, this time for directing an insensitive insult at a player for the Houston Outlaws, shortly after the Outlaws swept Fuel 4-0. During a stream, Lenyel took issue with Outlaws tank Mama, or Austin Wilmot, who I think is a transgender homosexual player or something like that.
I believe. In the context, they're just homosexual. I'm not sure about...
Okay, yeah. Either way...
They may be. I'm not sure.
It definitely doesn't have a basis on how they play the game, or how well they play the game.
They're still a fucking great tank player, and that's all that should matter.
But XQC, or Felix Lenyel, has said... Essentially, shut your fucking mouth, go back there, suck a fat cock. I mean, you would like it.
What a great dude.
On a stream. So Wilmot, who's openly gay, brushed off the comment on his own stream, but Lenyel has been suspended from his Overwatch team.
For how long?
Oh, hold on, here's an update, sorry. Suspended for a total of 4 matches and fined $2,000. $2,000 US.
In the end, it turns out he was the one who was sucking a dick.
And also Dallas Fuel has announced that they'll uphold Blizzard's suspension and also bench Lenyel for the remainder of the Season 1's first stage.
Riggedy wrecked, you nerd. You just top deck and wrecked yourself.
Yeah,
I love
and
it.
using his own comment, talk about rolled and smoked, baby.
I love that you respond to a damning, comment on internet gaming culture by just going full internet gamer.
It's true.
See how toxic our community is?
Yeah.
For $1 a day, you can help.
He deserves it. He did stupid shit and he copped it.
Absolutely.
There's a difference between being insensitive and being crass, and they're two, albeit blurred subjects, but they're very, very similar.
Yeah. The one's a character, and one got a little too wrapped up with... I'm talking about Dr. Disrespect.
Yeah.
Got too wrapped up in the character, had separate issues with his personal life, said, I need to take time off this streaming life.
Exactly.
This one was an Overwatch pro
who was
reacting in anger.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
And particularly in the Overwatch League, this is a smart move by Blizzard, because if they want to take it serious, if they want it to be taken seriously, which is clearly the route they're going
Absolutely.
down, they need to get that shit out of there.
Nipped in the bud, absolutely.
Yep.
Now, a little bit more sad news. Every single one of Marvel's GLAAD Award-nominated comics has been cancelled. So, bit of backstory. Every year, the LGBTQ plus advocacy group GLAAD recognizes and awards a selection, that's GLAAD, recognizes and awards a selection of television shows, films, and books that feature powerful portrayals of queer people. This year, a number of Marvel's comics were recognized for the contributions they have made to queer culture, but those nominations were bittersweet for one incredibly disappointing reason. They have all been cancelled.
Oh, all of the... physical...
Every single Marvel comic that has been GLAAD Award nominated has been cancelled.
Are you able to cite some examples?
Yeah, America from Gabby Rivera and Joe Quinones, Black Panther, World of Wakanda, and Iceman have each been nominated for GLAAD's 2018 Outstanding Comic Book category, and with good reason. Over the course of their respective arcs, each series explored various parts of the queer experience in ways that, frankly, are new for comics. Iceman's dug into Bobby Drake's coming out as a gay man later in life, America's focus on what it's like to be a queer immigrant going into university for the first time, and World of Wakanda delved into the complicated, intimate lives of the Dora Milaje. But all these books recently met their ends, as so many new progressive comic books do these days. Low sales, just as an entirely new audience is about to hear about the books, specifically because of their being nominated for GLAAD Awards, notwithstanding.
Not even so much. That definitely, but Black Panther's literally about to hit cinemas in a week and a half.
Yeah, I don't know why they would cancel that.
That's just dumb business. Whatever. I just think that's fucking dumb.
Right, so it's a coincidence that they were cancelled, but disappointing that they all happened to be so strongly...
It may have been a coincidence. I'm leaning towards coincidence, because especially in this day and age, for a company to do something like that, that's incredibly stupid.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, it's just deeply saddening, because we're getting there.
Yeah.
It's
baby
slow.
steps.
Baby steps.
Just to cut you off, I just remembered something.
Just to cut you off.
We have a streamer, you may or may not know of him, Tyler One. He was a very prolific League streamer. Prolific's probably not the right word. Very notorious. He plays the character of quite an aggro, quite a toxic person.
Yep.
He's been, long story short, he was IP banned or ISP banned for League for like a year and a half.
Yep.
And a week and a half ago, or about a week ago, it was when his ban came off for League, and he had his first stream of League of Legends in like a year and a half. He amassed a total of 180,000 concurrent viewers on that stream. He was getting 5 subs a second, someone calculated. He probably would have made $50,000 that day. Like, absolutely bonkers. It's the new record for a single person.
That's insane.
The previous owner of that record was Faker, who's like a 4 times League of Legends world champion, mid laner, and Tyler just smashed that out of the park.
Wow.
He is apparently reformed now. However, it'll be interesting to see how he goes stepping into the future.
Goes to show any press is good press, I guess.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens when Dr. Disrespect returns as well.
Exactly.
Moving on to a bit more truly community thing. There has been a Fallout 3 being remastered into the Fallout 4 engine. I believe it's called Fallout 4: The Uncharted Wastes.
Right.
That's been years in the works, and it's an entirely fan-done remastering.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 40% complete, apparently. 40 or 60%.
Which is amazing, because having gone back and played Fallout 3 a couple of years after its release,
Yeah.
doesn't hold up that well.
No, it dated really quickly, didn't it? Yeah. So what they're essentially doing is remaking Fallout 3 in the Fallout 4 engine, which I think is the best of both worlds, with Fallout 4's graphics and graphical quality with the life of the Fallout 3 world. I never hugely got into those games, but I know people went apeshit over it. So that's going to be a good thing.
It's not dissimilar to how people have also been working on Morrowind and the Skyrim engine.
Exactly,
and
exactly.
It's Bethesda's amazing universe creation.
But it's more interesting because they bring out weekly or bi-weekly update news and everything like that. Cool. So they've come out and said, hey guys, we're still trucking ahead. They've actually got we're nearly halfway done.
Wonderful.
So,
good on them.
Good on
Keep
them.
up the good
Bravo,
work,
guys. Yeah, all the community, to all you modders out there as well.
Yeah.
Props to you for doing something just as a complete labor of love. Like, you don't get money for this. You're just doing it because you're like, no, this game can be better. This game can look better.
And also,
That's awesome.
Also with the fear that it might just get shut down and ceased and desist. You're putting like 6 months of your life into a project that can just go poof.
Yeah.
Cannot work on
bravo
anymore.
to you.
Yeah, bravo.
Yeah, I tip my proverbial hat to you. That's awesome.
I tip my literal fedora to you.
Yeah. Ew. So, last couple things before I move on to my main story, which will excite a lot of EVE fans out there. But before I get into that, Universal Studios Japan has got some new IP hitting it. It's Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Final Fantasy has hit Universal Studios Japan with a new ride and a whole bunch of merchandise, and it's going to be apeshit. There's already been cosplayers that have posed out in front of the stalls, obviously in full costume and everything like that. You can get Chocobo hats, t-shirts, and flavored drinks.
Smartest marketing they've ever done.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've ever played Final Fantasy, looked at the food and gone, that looks fucking delicious, now you can try some. Get into it. Universal Studios Japan, I think it's open now, or it could be opening early February. Either way, that's going to be massive. And what gaming community news as well also kind of ties in. There's I don't know the specifics of it, but there is an NBA star who's released PlayStation themed basketball shoes. This is actually the second pair of PlayStation themed high tops or sneakers or whatever you want to call them that have been released. The first ones were trash, and these ones are actually pretty decent looking.
Good.
So happy days. But now on to the main story, the one that really excites me. Anyone who's really interested in EVE Online will know that it essentially, the game itself revolves around corporations. You can just kind of play it for a bit of fun, but if you really want to invest time, money, and everything into it, corporations are the way to go. And obviously, some corporations are going to sometimes butt heads. EVE players are now poised for a $1 million battle. Now, the in-game currency is ISK. I'm talking real-world dollars, actual $1 million. So EVE Online has been plunged into a major battle as of 7 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on yesterday, January 24th. a Keepstar class Citadel, which is the single largest object that can be owned by a single player in EVE, held by the Pandemic Horde Alliance, has become under attack by the Goon Swarm Federation. Now, Keepstars dwarf the game's massive super capital Titan warships, cost well over 3 times as much to construct. These are, once again, the biggest objects anyone can own in the game.
Just to paraphrase, I think a Citadel takes about 6 months real time to build.
Yeah.
From start to finish,
Yeah.
getting all the resources
Yeah,
to all
it takes
the
about
plans.
3 years training to be able to fly the thing,
Also-
like real world.
Also, I'd like to imagine that the Goon Squad are just a bunch of like Canadian guys in hockey jerseys.
Hey, go get him! Oh, go get him, hey, you goon! Hey, you hoser! Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Well, give him the knuckle puck.
Yeah. Now, okay, bit of backstory. The most famous and consequential battle in EVE Online.
I just broke the knuckle puck.
The knuckle puck got him.
Go ahead, sorry.
That's all right. The most consequential battle in EVE so far was the bloodbath of BR5RB 4 years ago, which saw the Clusterfuck Coalition and their Russian allies fighting against the N3
Were they actually
Coalition.
called the Russian allies, though?
I think it was just a bunch of, it might have been like mercenaries, actual Russian players though, but...
Mercenary, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's to the narrative.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, oh, 100%.
Blah, blah,
Blit! Exactly.
Fuck, much cut.
Dystrovia! Yeah, exactly, 100%. So this one, the Bloodbath of BR5RB, was a 21-hour battle, over 7,500 pilots involved in primary or secondary combats. 500 capital class vessels were involved, with each capital class, so there's 500 of them, each ship requiring at least a year of training time and billions of in-game ISK to purchase. On top of all these ships, each side had about 80 Titans, the game's largest ships. So 160 in total, right? In this bloodbath, right?
Yeah.
Now, 75 of the Titans fielded at this BR5 battle were lost. This real-world equivalent, just for those Titans, those 75 that were lost, $375,500 real-world dollars, right?
That's fucking crazy. And I think when they say real-world dollars, it's an equivalent to, like, you can buy a lot of premium currency and buy to speed up the process.
Yeah, you can buy ISK or whatever else.
Yeah, so it's basically a direct translation of that money, not time and effort. It's that money is gone.
Legit.
Multiple houses have disappeared.
Yeah,
and
that's not
worth.
only that money, but also the time and effort. Exactly, all of that.
I can't even imagine.
That was 4 years ago. Fast forward to a couple of days ago. Today's fight could make that look like a casual border skirmish. The players involved in this battle are along very similar diplomatic ties as well. And there's a bunch of other coalitions that have had skirmishes in the years in between these two massive battles as well. The Pandemic Horde, who are defending the space station, they were the leaders of the former N3 coalition, and included with them also the remnants of the Money Badger coalition. The assaulting force is the Imperium, led by the same group who led the Clusterfuck Coalition, who are now known as the Goon Swarm Federation.
Probably a smart marketing decision.
Absolutely, yeah. Much more family-friendly there. They emerged victorious from this original BR5 conflict, but suffered many, many military defeats by the Money Badger Coalition. So this is like ultimate grudge match. Each side is expected to be able to field over 250 Titan-class vessels.
That's a lot of Titans.
Yeah. So, remember, the last conflict had 160 overall. Imagine 500 overall.
Like, the biggest mining op I've done in EVE had 3 Titans.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, 100 times that. Each side. It's fucking ridiculous.
This is such a big battle that it's literally being led like an actual, like, naval fleet. Like, warships have been slowly maneuvering into defensive and offensive positions, with the Imperium's battle cruisers literally bombarding the Citadel from long range with cannons and taking orbital fire. So unless N3 and the Money Badger Coalition can stop this, so Pandemic can stop this, that Citadel will die. So it's up to them to essentially make the next move.
I can just imagine there's probably some, like, 38-year-old guy who's probably played this from the better part of his, like, early mid-20s, who's just having, like, this is the highlight of his life so far. I honestly think this is what he's worked for 12, 15 years for.
Yep.
He's literally put more time in than other people would put into military service to become a fucking general.
100%.
He's fucking controlling like that excites me, and what makes me love Eve so much is the I'm gonna go on Twitch and fucking find this and watch.
And then he leaves his house, and he's no one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's just a ghost.
So he had to quit his IT job. He's like, sorry guys, like this.
I have an Eve game to play.
This is honestly more important to me, and I would be like, you know what, dude, come back next week. You got this week off.
Yeah.
Like,
so, and once again, real world perspective. Just for a wrap it up, there's already over. This is news that's a few days old already as well. So this conflict may have wrapped up by now. Who knows? Yeah. But at the time, there were already over 6,000 players logged into that one particular system where the space station is currently holding on to life, with more continuing to pile in every minute. So I'm hoping someone recorded that. I would love to see.
I'm sure there'll be some VODs of it.
Absolutely. Now, so that's essentially the top story for me for this week in community news, because man, what a battle. That's so awesome.
I'm
like,
thinking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm keen. Now, just to wrap up on a bit of a lighter note, I'm sure everybody knows by now the world of VR chat with all the ridiculous Ugandan knuckles. Do you know the way?
Please show me the way.
I do not think you know the way. Clap for the queen.
You are not the queen. I spit on the fake queen.
So all of that. Yeah, so hooray for memes. They're always funny. But the VR chat world saw a really heartwarming moment recently, actually, because a player appeared to have a seizure in VR. And obviously, you know, you've got a bunch of Ugandan knuckles clicking around the whole thing, but everybody was really quick to jump on top of this. Yeah. And without even seeing the person in real life physically and everything, after a few seconds it takes, the avatar collapses, body convulses on the ground, labored breathing can be heard. Standing around this, like, immediately, there's all these players going, no, seriously, man, stop clicking. Shut up for a second. This is serious. He's in serious trouble. He's are you all right, dude? Blah, blah, blah. The guy's had a seizure before. He doesn't remember a lot of it, and I think he did have an actual seizure. But because of the help that these guys had and everything like that in the aftercare, they said, dude, log off, have some water, take care of yourself kind of thing. Yeah. Fuck yeah, gaming community. Yeah. Good on you. Like, when push comes to shove, we're not all just trash heaps of humans. That's good news.
I think the most heartwarming part of that footage was there's like a classic gamer 10-year-old kid that's just like, that would usually be like, get fucked, faggot.
Yeah.
Goes, even if you don't think you have another seizure, like, call for help or something. Like, call somebody.
Yeah, like for instance, like after a long pause, drunken unicyclist, who was the person who encountered the difficulties, responded that he was okay. Everybody got super serious. Everyone urged him to drink water, call someone who could help. Seek medical attention, so on and so forth. Someone, like I said before, told the Ugandan Knuckles avatar to shut up. When an avatar of a fat man in a diaper repeatedly begins to sit on the robot or teabagging him, players chastise him, saying, dude, come on, stop that ain't cool.
Yeah.
I got to applaud you, VR chat community, because
we get deeper into VR every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's like, obviously no one wants to see anyone die, but the last thing, like, if we're just to look at it from an outside perspective, if someone was to die into VR, like on VR, that would just bode terribly for the gaming community in general.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm super pleased to hear that people came to his aid and everything like that, but I'm also very glad because there's also people will get more violent from video games and they'll make you fat and you'll die, and no one needs to die playing video games. It's a hobby at the end of the day.
Yep.
And I was really glad the community came together and actually helped that guy, so yeah.
Absolutely. Alright, and just to finally wrap up all of the community stuff, you might have noticed a couple of changes already with the PALcast. A little bit more focused, a little bit shorter, hopefully.
A little bit.
We tried
to be a little bit shorter.
There's only
we'll get better at it.
We'll get better. But we've got a little bit more content coming out next week, I think, as well, or next week after this is released.
Something we're very excited about.
Yeah. It's a new show we like to call Anger Management.
Correct.
We solve the world's problems one game at a time.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll let you find out a little bit more about that once that gets released as well. But check it out; it's good fun. Let us know what you think of this new format as well. Otherwise, I guess for now, this is the PALcast signing out for this week. Enjoy yourself, everybody.
Cheerio.
And, happy Australia Day.
Get in there, my son.